This is Brady, a successful SaaS owner with over 1 million users. And this is the system he uses in order to validate a SaaS in 7 days before writing a single line of code. And today he's going to tell us how. Most founders waste months building before discovering that nobody cares. In this video, Brady and I were going to talk about his system to validate a software with Reddit and AI before writing a single line of code. We'll go from finding the real pain points to checking on competitors and how to post feeder questions into Reddit that turns commenters into the first beta users. Brady, nice to see you again.
Likewise.
So today we wanted to talk about validation of a SaaS product because we're both SaaS product owners, so SaaS owners of SaaS businesses, and we looked into something new, which is a potential to maybe collaborate. And I was very impressed by how you validate that software. So a quick recap is basically just a new view on Google Drive where creators can find their videos faster. Right, this is how I would put it. How have you seen that from your slide? Like, we met at a conference and we thought, okay, we could look into this kind of business. And then I went into the coding part, and we're still somewhere in between, in the middle where we are right now. But I still wanted to touch base with you. Like, how did you do the validation part of that? Because you ran a lot of things on Reddit, and if you just get a bit of a glimpse on what you did there, just as a baseline for other people watching this YouTube channel, what's like the minimum they should do in order to validate a software idea? If I just get that out of this interview, that'll be perfect.
Awesome.
Yeah. So basically, what did you do when you got the idea? And so first, how did you come up with that idea? It's different from my story, but it's the same idea. And then what did you do in order to validate that? So maybe let's start with when you got that. How did you come up with this problem? When did you face that problem yourself?
So the specific software that Till and I are talking about was a personal pain point that I had with my own team with editing. But in terms of validation with SaaS, a lot of first-time business owners get stuck in this wheel of trying to figure out what's going to be the next billion-dollar idea. But often in cases, you don't need to actually reinvent the wheel. You just need to make a better version of it, or find an already existing wheel out there and figure out what people don't like about it. So what I mean by that is, like, when MySpace first came out, someone didn't try to recreate a new concept of MySpace. They just made Facebook, Instagram, X, Twitter. So what I'm saying is, if you can find people talking about those already existing businesses or those already existing wheels and what they don't like about those existing products and try to make a better version of it, that's kind of my whole thought process is, if I'm having this pain point and I can validate that other people are having the same problem or pain point, and what Till was saying, a good source of that is Reddit, then it helps validate the idea that, okay, let's spend, hundreds of hours building this to make it actually on the market and available for people. Right. So to Till's point, like, I like to source a lot of my data from Reddit. There's literally like hundreds of millions of threads or posts about literally any topic you can think of. So a really good hidden gold mine of an area to find or validate these ideas on is different subreddits. So, you could find anything for your niche, go to those subreddits, look up, you can literally search the keywords in the subreddit, like problems, complaints, any type of a variation of a keyword that someone might post if they're having an issue with something, and just read literally what people are having issues with and try to find a problem in your niche that you can build a product for. You don't need to think of something new or something like innovative. You can literally just like make a new version of the already existing wheel. If there's already something out there, so in Till and I's case, what we were researching, there were already competitors out there, but what we did and how I validated it is I did a keyword search of every single competitor that was, like the top 10 most popular on Reddit and other forums, and just got a general consensus of what people did and did not like about that app, and then put together like a massive document on, okay, what are the common complaints or the common features that people actually do like, and putting like a checklist of, okay, can we build something that doesn't exist that solves some of these problems? So that's a really good way to start. Now we have like ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, so you can do all this in bulk and have, the deep research feature go and pull a lot of threads for you. But most importantly, just try to figure out, like, in your niche, if there's already an existing pain point, instead of trying to figure something out that you don't know if other people need or want yet.
So how long did this take, this process, for you to get a grasp of the market?
Good question. So I'm not like, I don't have a background in this industry, like the creative industry, the media. So it took me a little bit longer than normal. Now, this time that I did it was a lot different than the last app I built, because that was probably like 3 years ago, and LLMs have evolved a ton since then. So I would say most of the work was spent just prompting with like Gemini or ChatGPT with like deep research tool, just trying to figure out what different posts and threads it could find on Reddit based on like pain points that I knew people were having with these already existing apps, or the actual process itself of uploading media to a Google Drive or a cloud. I mean, with LLMs, you could probably validate a product in like under 20 hours. Like no more than a week would it take to figure out if you are probably sitting on an idea that's worth building.
Okay, so you have this one approach of getting all the competitors, putting them into Reddit, and just seeing what people say, reading what are the things that people dislike about this certain product, and then you do this for every single competitor, right?
Yeah, so in terms of like competitor research, and like I was saying earlier, just trying to see if you should just recreate the same version of the wheel, like just a different version of it. I like to go into different LLMs around Reddit or any other forum, like a niche specific forum or an industry forum, and I'll put in all the top 5, top 10 competitors and say, find as many like threads or posts or comments you can find about what people like about this app and what they don't like, and then put together like a list of common pain points and how many people complain about that pain point, and then I just get it all in a table and like kind of just decide from there. But yeah, I mean, I try to go after like all the competitors, because then it also gives you an idea on like who's good at what each company's USP is, and like it ultimately gives you a better idea on like how to eventually market the app as well. Because like as you're going through all the socials and their website, what their users are saying, like you're getting enough information to like know how to eventually market your app too.
In our specific case, how many competitors did you find?
There was a lot. I mean, I know you want to answer that because every time I thought I found enough of them, I found more. So I would say like there's probably like 8 to 10 really popular ones that I was seeing get mentioned a lot on Reddit and just other forums and like X. But I mean, there was dozens, if not more than that. So yeah, I mean, you shouldn't get discouraged by like seeing a lot of competitors. It usually means it's like a big market, and it's usually a good thing. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely good to know which ones are the biggest ones out there, which ones are like up and coming. Because I ended up finding one that wasn't the most popular, but it's like raised a bunch of money, and they are probably going to be the next biggest one in the next 5 or 10 years. So you find a lot of that, and like it's good to know, like, because you know what they're doing, how they're kind of like positioning their next iteration of the wheel.
If you're building a SaaS and you want to validate before building the software, subscribe to this channel. I'm sharing more systems like this that save you money and time. What are some other things you found out in this process? Like something where you saw, because you kind of told me you found a gap in the market, right? If I recall this correctly. How did you find that? If there are so many competitors, how did you make the process of finding this gap?
Yeah, so kind of like what I was saying earlier, once you do the research and figure out all these different pain points people are having, you get a really good idea of like the top 1, 2, or 3 kind of common pain points. And in this case, there was a lot of people complaining about, only enterprise solutions existing, no consumer facing options, everything was way overpriced. A lot of the features that were being built were, way beyond what most people needed. And in my previous app that I have, it was kind of a similar thing. Like a lot of people were complaining about certain features that didn't exist. And me being in the industry for 3 or 5 years at that point, hearing not just people on Reddit complain about these issues, but people in the industry was like a sign like, okay, well, someone has to add this feature on or build it eventually. So yeah, I mean, you can really find a lot without having to, build something or start promoting something. You can get a lot of information with already existing posts on Reddit. And if you don't find anything on Reddit, what I was going to say after that was like a good follow-up to that is go into your niche related subreddits or forums, wherever you can find people talking about what niche you want to be in, and think about your perspective of the app you want to build, and try to put yourself in the shoes of someone who would be looking for your app before they found it. So like if I had built a YouTube, but it was for only human content and there's no AI, they found a way to literally create a YouTube with no AI content, how would someone who would want to use that platform be posting on Reddit? They might say, is there any type of social media platform without AI content? So then you can say, okay, well, if someone else would post that, maybe I should post that and see if other people are already using a different platform out there and see if anything else exists. So you just gotta like think creatively on Reddit, like put yourself in the shoes of your customers or potential customers and make a couple posts that they might make, and you'll get information from people commenting like, oh, there's already a solution that does this or Y or Z, or oh, I would use that solution, but it needs to have this specific feature. Like you get a lot of data just from like making kind of like feeder posts like that out there. So yeah, it's not just about like researching Reddit, but also being really creative on Reddit and trying to like pull people in on like what you're potentially building, but play as the dumb person that doesn't know if it exists yet or not.
How many times have you posted in that research phase?
On Reddit?
In that phase for researching this specific thing?
A lot. I mean, anything I can't find data on. So I've probably done at least a couple dozen times, but if I can't find any data on a specific feature that I think people would like, or I'm just like a little bit bullish on without having any data, I'll make at least, 5 to 8 posts on that one feature alone in different subreddits or in the same subreddit, like a week or two apart in case you're not getting the right audience, and just like try to see if I can get other people to comment or to respond. Because also, if you get people that are responding like, oh, that'd be a really cool idea, I would use that, then you can DM them and, they could be a potential beta tester, your first customer. So
yeah, and you're doing this with your same username, or do you have different ones?
Yeah, Till knows. Reddit is very hard to be promotional on, so you have to be very careful about using Reddit. And if you never use Reddit, make sure you read the rules of every single subreddit you're going to post on. So aside from using Reddit for research, we use Reddit for a lot of like marketing purposes and just like promoting our apps on there. So I've actually had probably like 15 different Reddit accounts now. So either from doing like marketing on there or getting banned and having to create a new one. So just be very careful. Like if you're going to do this on your own Reddit account, just be very cautious about the rules of each subreddit and make sure you're following the rules and you're not being super spammy or over promotional. Like you're genuinely contributing to that subreddit. And I would also say like even just warm your account up for a little bit, make a couple like actual contributing and value added posts before you start posting about your app or asking if X, Y, or Z app already exists.
Were there some things where you thought there was a gap, but that's actually not a problem? Some features that you found, why doesn't this exist? And then people invalidated that. Sometimes you have this confirmation bias where you are going into something and you want to find something because you're just eager to get proven right. And then maybe you think there is a gap and there's actually none because people don't have that problem, or there's a reason why a certain gap is there because people are not paying for it, or they're not using it, or there's not.
Yeah, that's a good point. I was going to say, like, I can't think of any examples that I have done that because I don't do this every time I have an idea. I do it after I sit on it for a while. I'm like, oh, there's really not a solution out there. But I do come across it when the closest example I could think of is like when I have a pain point and I start researching it because I'm like, okay, well, if I'm having this pain point, who else is having it? And I find like all these really good apps that maybe they're already existing or they're open source, or it's just like, yeah, it's a really cool idea, but is there really like a big enough market for it? Or do I really want to spend months building this? Like that'll happen, but I don't come across many opportunities or spend a lot of time validating ideas. I'm just like, yeah, I don't think there's really a market for that. But to be transparent, like I don't do this frequently. Like I've done probably like 3 really deep dives into validation on Reddit, and 2 of the apps my main app I already have built. It's been 3 or 4 years now. And the second one, Till and I have been looking at. And the third one, I think, was like, I don't even remember what it was for, but it wasn't, nothing came out of it. So. And
the first one you also validated on Reddit. And now this is a successful app, right?
Yeah, our target audience has like millions of users on Reddit. So we do a lot of like Reddit marketing, and a lot of people would say like, oh, well, you're spamming the platform. And honestly, a lot of the time we're not even really posting. We're just messaging people who mention our competitors on Reddit and saying like, hey, you should check out this really cool solution we built that has X, Y, and Z features at no cost to you. So yeah, that's a good question. Good point.
If you do it now again, like if you would validate the next thing right now, what tools would you use in order to do this even faster?
If I were to validate like an idea now?
Yeah.
I mean, there's at least a dozen SaaS or apps out there that you can literally sign up on and it does all the Reddit research for you. I'm sure you've maybe seen some of those as well. I bet most of them are vibe coded, but yeah, Reddit is honestly becoming like a really popular platform for idea validation and marketing, especially among like software companies, like especially like the indie hacker ones. But yeah, I mean, there's apps out there that can help you do the Reddit research. I mean, LLMs, like I said, ChatGPT, Gemini, they can do probably 70 to 80% of the work. I would still probably do a little bit of manual work on Reddit because you'll probably find stuff they didn't find, and just kind of like reading through the forums, like you'll get more familiar with your target audience, how they talk, how they communicate, what else they might be talking about. But yeah, I mean, you don't really need any crazy tools to do it.
How would you rank Reddit if you have other means of validation? Where would you rank that? Would you say this is the best tool, or is there some close follow-up where you say this is the next thing you would try?
Yeah, so depending on your budget, I think Reddit's the best free one. There's basically no cost involved. The next best idea for validation, I would say, are platforms where you can do like the surveys. I can't think of the names of them off the top of my head, but if you have no audience and you're willing to invest a couple $100 in some surveys, you can basically pay to survey your target audience, so like target demographic basically. And I couldn't tell you the logistics of how it works, but those surveys get put in front of people that will fill them out, and somehow they're incentivized to do it as well. So that's a good way to get data on like specific questions you might have. If you already have an audience, so we've done this personally for our app. We just did a survey with our audience. So we did a giveaway of like $2,000 of prizes and said, hey, you can sign up for this giveaway, but if you do do this survey, then it's 10 extra entries. And so we ended up getting like 1,000 survey completions of our target audience who actually used our app and got like a ton of insight and validation on like the next features we should build. So yeah, I mean, if you have an audience, there's definitely ways to do it. Like surveys are a really good one. If you don't have an audience, try to find ways to validate either like through like the paid survey options. I know a lot of people that will just build like a landing page and just buy paid ads towards it and push people to like a landing page like coming soon, sign up for the wait list or sign up for 20% off the first year. So that's an option as well. I personally have not done that, so I won't speak too much on it. I just know that's a popular way to kind of test before you build something. But yeah, those are a couple ideas.
Oh, this is a cool idea. So if you find someone with an audience, you could maybe even do a collaboration. And I'll say, can I run this survey by you? I'm going to pay for everything. You also get the results. But then that person might also want to use that same insight to build the same product.
Yeah, I mean, if you know someone with an audience, they're most likely the creative mindset and maybe not the entrepreneurial mindset, at least in my experience. So you might not have that big of an issue, but yeah, I mean, you definitely don't want to like share your idea to the wrong people, especially if it's going to get put out to 1 million of their followers or whoever it's going to.
Yeah, that is true. But this in this specific space where we're talking about management tool for YouTube creators, loads of YouTube creators out there with audiences, they're not monetizing well enough. So this could potentially be a really good approach, right? Well, in our specific case, the idea is a digital management tool for YouTube creators, how they can manage their videos better. And so potentially this would be perfect to find a creator on YouTube who is not monetizing the audience correctly, but has an audience of other YouTube creators. So there's potential. I think there's a huge potential of actually doing that. But in this case, you kind of did the job already with the Reddit marketing, right?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you though. If you are close or know someone that has an audience, I think it's a good way to, yes, potentially validate your idea, but also it's a really good idea to potentially bring them on and give them equity if they can show, tangible results of getting people signed up from their audience. I mean, you don't want to give them equity until you actually see results, but like if you think strategically, like a lot of apps or software companies will, especially startups that are like bootstrapped or they don't have money, they'll bring on a creator and give them, 10, 15, 20%, maybe more if they can, get enough signups or prove that they can be like a valuable, funnel to that app. So yeah, I mean, even like thinking past just the validation, like you could potentially find someone that would be a good partner, lead source, or even like affiliate revenue where, there's a lot of ways to help them get monetized from helping promote your app. So
cool. I got a last question. So for your first SaaS, you did also validate it on Reddit and then you built it, right?
Combination of Reddit and just being in the industry. Okay. So yeah, but there's very clearly pain points on both sides.
Are there things that you had to revisit? Things that you thought you validated or pain points that you thought exist, but they actually didn't? Or something that popped up new, which you didn't see before?
I would say what we thought we built, what we knew was a pain point, we built it and there was clearly people that were excited about it, but we didn't do a good job of marketing who would most benefit. So like our competitors who we initially were going after, they had unique positioning, kind of USPs that we wanted to take over, but when we brought on this new feature, it helped us take over and it made us better than what they were already good at. But we were trying to promote us as the new version of them instead of, hey, we have this new feature that they don't have. So I would say we definitely made a mistake of trying to just be at our competitors instead of just being good at what they weren't good at by building the feature that we knew people wanted that they didn't have and marketing that directly.
Yeah. Are there other things in your SaaS journey that you had to rethink after you started? Maybe just specific to customers. Maybe things, customers using it in a weird way, or did it break in a way that you didn't think before?
I wouldn't think of it like that perspective, but if you're thinking in terms of like the consumer perspective, I've always tried to engage with the people who, email us asking for a specific feature or leaving a comment somewhere or mentioning our website as like a really good solution and invite them to like a private channel as like not necessarily a beta tester, but kind of like an early adopter so that, they're bought into what you're building, they're already using it. And it gives you kind of like a core group of your audience that not only can you get really good insights from, but like as a reward, you can give them like premium offerings or, like thank them for like that. So I would say like if you're in SaaS, like try to think of ways to find those people and identify like the early adopters who actually like really want to tell everyone in the world about your app and like try to get their contact info. And, another good way to do this is to like potentially embed like some sort of pop-up or a chatbot on your website that if someone clicks it, maybe it says like, hey, what new features could we improve on or what do you not like about the website? Like try to really get that data up front, especially early on when you don't know what you should focus on next or what people think initially.
That's cool.
And I would say one more thing.
Please.
I think I honestly don't know how developers or SaaS founders think of this, but like Microsoft Clarity is like a gold mine for data. Like you can basically install it on your website. It's free. It's like Google Analytics, but it records people using your actual website. So you can literally watch a screen recording of them using your app or your SaaS or your website. And I mean, after you get like 100 people using it, you can literally watch 100 recordings of how people scrolled through the website, what they clicked, what they were reading, what they maybe left on. And so like it actually becomes really fun. So you're like watching actual beta testers on your website and you get a lot of data from that too.
That's a good trick.
If you have validated your software and you want to hire the first developer now, you can watch this video where I talk about my hiring system that you can apply, especially if you're not technical.